बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर अष्टोत्तरशत श्रीमद् भगवत चरणारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की सम्यक भक्तवृंद की पिता गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter number 11, entitled The Perfect Society, 4 Social Classes, text number 33 and 34. उप्यमानं मुहुक्षेत्रं स्वयं निर्वीर्यतां यात् न कल्पते पुनः सूत्ये उक्तं बीजं च नश्यति। एवं कामशयं चित्तं कामानाम् अतिसेवया विरज्येत यथा राजन् अग्निवत् कामबिन्दुभिः। Please repeat word for word. Upyamanam, being cultivated. Muhu, again and again. Kshetram, a field. Swayam, itself. Nirviryatam, barrenness. Yat, may obtain. Na, kalpate, is not suitable. Punaha, again. Sutye, for growing further harvest. Uttam, sown. Bijam, the seed. Cha, and Nashyati, is spoiled. Evam, in this way. Kama ashayam, full of lusty desires. Chittam, the core of the heart. Kamanam, of the desirable objects. Ati sevaya, by enjoyment over and over again. Virajeta, may become detached. Yatha, just as. Rajan, O king. Agnivat, a fire. Kamabindubhidhi, by small drops of clarified butter. Translation and purport by Bhagavad Gita. Translation. My dear king, if an agriculture field is cultivated again and again, the power of its production decreases, and whatever seeds are sown there are lost. Just as drops of ghee on a fire never extinguish the fire, but a flood of ghee will similarly, just as drops of ghee on a fire never extinguish the fire, but a flood of ghee will similarly, overindulgence in lusty desires mitigates such desire entirely. Purport. If one continuously sprinkles drops of ghee on a fire, the fire will not be extinguished. But if one suddenly puts a lump of ghee on a fire, the fire may possibly be extinguished entirely. Similarly, those who are too sinful and have thus been born in the lower classes are allowed to enjoy sinful activities fully. For thus, there is a chance that these activities will become detestful to them and they will get the opportunity to be purified. Om Ajnanatirandasya Jnanandjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vikantam Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parivan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Vita Shri Vishakam Vikamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Nilakvate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamani Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripasindhubhyev cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, in this chapter, Narada Muni has been describing the four social classes as Lord Narayan had told. So he is repeating the words of Narayan and he described what are the qualities that a general human being should acquire and also the qualities of specific varnas, all the four varnas, and their prescribed duties were described. And then the Stri Dharma, what is the duties of woman, that was described. And then those who are lower than these four classes were described, what are their characteristics. And now the way for their purification is being described by Narada Muni. So here the philosophy is very interesting. I repeat the translation. My dear king, Brahmanas My dear king, if an agricultural field is cultivated again and again, the power of its production decreases. And whatever seeds are sown there are lost. Just as drops of ghee on fire never extinguish the fire, but the flood of ghee will. Similarly, overindulgence in lusty desires mitigates such desires entirely. So this philosophy that overindulgence in lusty desires will mitigate desires entirely, it seems to be completely contradictory to whatever principles we are following. And there is a famous yogi also, and he constructed a big institute by following this philosophy. His philosophy was Sambhoga se Samadhi Kar. By indulging in sense gratification, you can become liberated. That was his philosophy. And he had many followers, and he was very influential. And it is said that even once US of government was afraid that he might take over the government with such influence and so many followers. And it is said that by the conspiracy of US government only, he was killed in the hospital by poisoning. I don't know how much true is that conspiracy, but the concept looks similar. Here it is said that by overindulgence, the lusty desires will become mitigated entirely. So here Shukdev Goswami, what Shukdev Goswami is telling is different from what the philosophy of that yogi is. That yogi professed that by indulgence in sense gratification, one will become free from desires. But in Bhagavad Gita it is said the opposite. In Bhagavad Gita 3rd chapter, verse number 39, it is said that Avritam Jnanametina Jnanino Nitya Verina काम रूपेण कोते दुष्पुरेण आनलेन च. Dushpuren आनलेन च. So Krishna is saying to Arjuna that this calm, lust, is like blazing fire, and it is not satisfied. By contact of the sense object with the senses, it will not happen that the desire for sense gratification will become nullified. Krishna is saying that it will increase. For example is given just like pouring ghee in the fire, it will not extinguish the fire, but it will make it more ablaze. But here it is said that overindulgence in lusty desires mitigates such desires. And the example is given again of ghee and fire, that just as drops of ghee on a fire never extinguish the fire, but a flood of ghee will. So it is said that if we put too much ghee in the fire, then there is a possibility that because of the excessive amount of the ghee, the fire might get extinguished. And if we just take one sloka, this sloka, and start applying, then it might be very tempting for us. How good, now I can do whatever I want to the level I want to do. But we have to take the context. Why Narad Muni is prescribing this method? That you should, sinful people can indulge in this. So previously Varnashram system had been described. So Varnashram system delineates some rules and regulations which one must follow, and the purpose of those rules and regulations is that one will gradually get purified. As yesterday discussed, Brother Guru was telling that as long as we have material senses, we have to engage our material senses in the service of Lord Krishna. It is not that just by direct process we will get purified, unless we have association of great sadhus. Like at the time of Prabhupada, and he gave example of few Russian devotees, how they were so enthusiastic in doing distribution, and later on somehow they left the process because they were not engaged according to their propensity. So Varnashram system gives us the occupational duties, the engagements according to the mode of nature we are in, and thus by engaging ourselves according to our modes, it is expected that gradually one will give up the lower tendency and be purified. Like we see in Varnashram system, from the age of 5, Brahmacharya is being followed. And then there is institution of marriage, Grahastha Ashram. And till the age of 50, one is expected that one will become detached from material desires and pursue spiritual path completely, with concentration, with full attention. So that is how the Varnashram system was designed, that one will gradually get purified of his material desires and engage in the service of the Lord completely. So there are regulations towards sense gratification. But it is not that everybody will get purified by following Varnashram system. There would be few classes of men, as Narad Muni is describing here, who will not be able to follow the rules and regulations which are prescribed in the Varnashram ashram as well. Their consciousness is so polluted, they are so sinful that they will not be able to follow these regulations. They are too much addicted to these sinful activities, and to prescribe them any don'ts is simply not possible for them. For those people here, the method being prescribed is that by overindulgence in lusty desires, the desires will be entirely mitigated. So this concept of overindulgence is not that just by indulging in it one will become liberated one day all of a sudden. It is that one will become detestful to sense gratification, and then there is possibility that after getting sufficiently frustrated in repeated endeavors for sense gratification, one will search for something higher which will give him lasting peace and happiness. The example is given that just like hippies, they were doing all the activities, all the sinful activities, because they were searching for some higher pleasure. And they indulged themselves fully into these activities. But they were not satisfied. They were getting frustrated. And then the window of opportunity was there. That they came in contact with Srila Prabhupada, and by the mercy of Prabhupada and teachings of Lord, they got something higher in their life. So it is not that simply by overindulgence and getting frustrated, one will take to a spiritual life. Until and unless one comes in contact with devotee, it will be very difficult for some person to just accept the process of spirituality because of sheer frustration. Because the nature of the material world is that the bhog is followed by tyag and then again followed by bhog. So this is just like the two sides of the coin. One will never stop at one point. So by overindulgence, one may become detestful to it and one might not want to do the sinful activities of, may it be meat eating, may it be illicit sex or drugs and liquor. He might get disgusted with these activities by overindulgence. And Prabhupada is saying that it is possible. He is not saying that surely he will get detestful, but there is a possibility that he will get detested, he will become disgusted with his activity, and then he will try to renounce those things because he is frustrated with these activities. And that is the condition of most of the people in Kali Yuga. They overindulge in the sense gratification and they are anxious, they don't get the pleasure they are expecting, they are frustrated and they are seeking for something higher. But at that junction, if they don't get the association of devotees, then that tyaga will not last long. The feeling of disgust or frustration might force them to give up those activities for some time. But again they will indulge in those activities. Because bhog and tyag are the two sides of the same coin. So the process recommended is actually very dangerous also. Somebody may read this verse and think that okay, I have so many material desires and now I will try to satisfy all those desires. And indulge so much in these activities that I will become completely fried out, and then naturally I will have inclination for a spiritual life because I am following spiritual life now and it's just forceful, it's not working with me. One might get this feeling, but this is very dangerous because there is a great chance that one will never come out of this sense gratification. As Lord Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita that this is like a blazing fire. By pouring ghee, it will not get extinguished, it will become more ablaze. So therefore Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that one should regulate the senses from the beginning. One should not allow the senses to indulge in unrestricted sense gratification. Because if one allows, then there is very less chance that he will be able to control the senses. Therefore, here it is said that Lord Krishna says that one should stop, at least externally, one should stop the senses from indulgence in the sense objects. Gradually, the mind will get purified. So, this is the institution of Varnashram, where there are certain rules and regulations for purification. But nowadays, since Varnashram is not being applied to the society at large, so it is very difficult to follow even Varnashram system. because the condition around us are not so conducive. So the society, the definition of what society is that when there is a framework according to which people work. Just like government of India, the citizens of India, they are abiding by the constitution of India, they are following the laws of government, then there is a framework. And if somebody doesn't follow, then one is either thrown out of the society by being put in the jail, or one is deported back to where he has come from. So this is the system of society, that there are certain rules and regulations which everybody is forced to abide by. And if somebody doesn't want to follow, he has some other plans, then he is allowed to propose. Just like there are different laws being proposed in our assembly, and if those laws are accepted, then the rules may change. But if the rules are not accepted, the petitions are not accepted, then one has to accept whatever rules are there, irrespective of he likes it or not. You will have to accept it. And therefore, there is no option that he has to follow or he doesn't want to follow. And therefore, there is a police and army which forces those rules. So rules and regulations, the laws, have no meaning if they are not enforced, if they are not enforceable upon somebody. If we leave to the individual choice that if he wants to follow certain rules or not, it is more possible in Kali that people will not follow. Therefore, we see in our society also, in our Krishna conscious movement ISKCON, that there is so much of philosophy and so many rules to follow for the upliftment of the society. But since there is no muscle power, there is no authority which can hold the stick and force somebody to force these rules and regulations, so ultimately there is no much progress in terms of society. Therefore, there is a need of Kshatriya who can force these rules and regulations upon the citizens in general. Because unless it is forced, people will not accept the minimum standards and the framework will be destroyed, and there will be so many sinful activities rampant. So Prabhupada was telling to one of his disciples that in Kolkata it was not that people were not eating meat before. They were taking, he is talking in 60s, Prabhupada was telling, that people used to take meat back then also, but there were certain parts of the city where people would go and take, but there was no propaganda around. The meat or liquor was not advertised about. It was not something that people were again and again shown to allure them, but it was a part of the city and it was being carried. But nowadays what is happening? That there is a propaganda. So because the government is not following the system which is prescribed in the Shastras, they are doing what they feel appropriate. So therefore, such problems arise. So ideally what should happen, that when there is a king, then there are certain rules and regulations which all of the members of the society, the four varnas, will be following. If somebody is not following those rules and regulations, then one is thrown out of the society. That is, they are allowed to live in forest and do the activities they want to do the way they want to do. Just like Mirgali is the example. He was a hunter. He was half killing animals and then selling off their skin and subsisting on the food thus he acquired. But he was not in the part of the normal society. He was living in forest. and thus he was allowed to do his activities. But if we allow these activities in the city, then what would happen that everybody who is little inclined to follow the rules and regulations, there would be disturbance for him also. That he will get so much of distraction by these who are not following that he will be allured to break the rules. Therefore, in Varnashram system, to cater to such people, because in society there would be few people who won't be able to follow the Varnashram institute. For them, they were outcast. They were in the lower caste and they were living in the forest. And one example of such society which was being which Hitler tried to implement was that he considered Nazis to be like the Brahmanas or Kshatriyas, and he wanted everybody to should follow these rules and regulations. But those who were not able to follow, what was his solution? Just kill them. Be it Jews, be it gays, be it gypsies. Just put them in the gas chamber and kill them because they are not able to follow the rules and regulations which he thought are the standards to be followed. But that is a barbaric way of enforcing rules and regulations. Here in Varnashram society also there is room for purification of those people also who are not able to accept the rules and regulations. Those who do not agree to follow the rules and regulations of Varnashram system, they live outside the general society, city and villages, and there the way of purification for them is that it is being mentioned here that they can indulge in the sinful activities as they want to do, which the ordinary course in the city or village will not be allowed. But since they are living out of the society, so they are allowed to do illicit activities. And by indulging in these activities, it might happen, there is a possibility that one day he will become distasteful towards these activities, and then if by the grace of Lord they come in association of devotees, then they might take up to the devotional service. So ultimately the process is devotional service. That after getting frustrated, one comes in contact with devotees and then takes to devotional service and takes to the sadhana bhakti and gets purified. As we say in the case of Mrigari, he got association of Narad Muni, and by the spiritual potency of Narad Muni, he got inspired to take up spiritual life, and Narad Muni by his mystic power showed him how the animals he was killing, how they are waiting for him in the hellish planets, and they are waiting in queue. The animals he killed, the cows and other animals, they are waiting to trample him, to tear his body apart, and he was very much fearful. And then he took to the instructions of Narad Muni and engaged himself in the chanting of the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. So ultimately, he took up to the process of devotional service. Because just by fear, one cannot get purified. Fear might be a good motivation to bring one to the path of spiritual life, but for purification, just by fear, one cannot progress. After getting into the devotional service, one has to come to the platform of Jnani. As in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that four kind of people come to him. One who is artha, one who is distressed, then one who is inquisitive, one who is in need of money, and fourth is Jnani, who is seeking to know more about this absolute truth. So by fear or by frustration, one might take up devotional service, as being mentioned here, that by overindulgence in lusty desires, one might get frustrated, cried out, and one might take up. Or in the case of Mrigari, because of fear of being suffering in the hellish condition of life for so many years, one might take up to the devotional service. But if we just keep on the platform of fear, then there won't be much purification. One has to raise himself to the platform of Jnani, that is, wanting to know about the absolute truth and understanding that how one is not this body, one is different from this body, one is spirit soul, and one has an eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. Unless one comes to that platform, the process of purification, although one might take for some time, but it will not last long. One might start chanting even Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but if one does not come to that platform of understanding that he is not this body, he is spirit soul, and there is Supreme Lord Krishna, and we are his part and parcel, we have a loving relationship with Supreme Lord. Till the time one does not come to this knowledge, the process cannot continue consistently, and hence there won't be much purification. Therefore, the process being recommended here is not that what we should take just by reading this. If we take this just one verse and indulge in sense gratification to get rid of the material desires, then that would be kind of taking just one part of the thing. In Sanskrit, this is called Ardha Kukut Nyaya. So the Ardha Kukut Nyaya says that just you take the part of the hen which is giving a golden egg and cut off the throat of the hen because it is asking food. Similarly, if we just take one shloka of Bhagavatam, this shloka particularly, and think that this is the philosophy I am liking it and I will follow this, but I can indulge in whatever activities I want to do and I will get purified, then that would be a disaster. One has to take the teachings in whole. So Narad Muni is describing this process for those who are too sinful that they cannot take to any rules and regulations. The general course of action is to follow rules and regulations prescribed in Varnashram or Ashram and get slowly purified and ultimately come to devotional service where one gets situated in Shuddha Sattva and goes back to God. So we'll end here if anybody has any question. Done.
So how should we deal with this verse? What is the final conclusion? What is your final conclusion? Is it applicable in devotional service or it is in some particular context meaning?
Yeah, Narad Muni is prescribing this method for those who are not under the four classes, they are beyond that. Those who are too sinful and too addicted to sinful life. For them, the process is that Narad Muni is saying that if they overindulge in those activities, then they might become, there is a possibility that they become detestable. They lose the taste for simplicity, they become frustrated with it, and then they might take up devotional service.
For devotees, it is not working.
Devotees,
No way to apply this principle for devotees.
yeah, this is not the general course of action. Those who are already in the devotional service, they need not take this because I have material desires, now I will indulge in it and get purified. No, this is not the thing which Narad Muni is saying. Narad Muni is recommending for those who are outcast, those who are indulging in sinful activities and they are addicted to it. For them, it might not be possible. It is the idea of following four regulative principles, waking up early and doing meditation is unbearable to them. For them, they had to get the kick of Maya. Because if they will indulge in these sinful activities, then they will be punished, and they will get frustrated, and there are so many diseases waiting them because they are breaking the principles of Vedas and indulging in sinful activities. So they will get frustrated, and when one is frustrated, one asks why it is happening to me. At that time, if they are fortunate to come across devotees and they get to know that what is the reason they are suffering, because they are turning away from the Supreme Lord, they are not following they are not living in harmony with the Lord, then they will get purified. So the process is that the outcast, after getting frustrated, comes in devotee contact and then he will get purified. Not that those who are in devotees, they should indulge and get purified. We are already in the process of purification.
Because you came more or less from Varnashrama system. But we are Western devotees, we are from that case. Dechka Yavana, so we are out of caste. We do many simple activities, and suddenly we made this big jump to devotional service. So the gap is there. So is the Bible for the Western devotees or not?
So, why did you come to devotional service? Because you were somehow fried out in the material life, isn't it? You were seeking for something. So you are already in that condition, that you are detestful, isn't it? You are searching for something higher. And you then came in contact with some devotee or Prabhupada's book. And thus you accepted the process. Now, after accepting this process, you need not to follow this verse. Just like the case of Jagai and Madai. They were like outcasts. It is said that the chief clerk of Yamraj, Chitragupt, he was noting down the sins of Jagai and Madai. And he had a complete department just for noting the sinful activities of Jagai and Madai. So sinful. And once Yamraj was passing by and asked this Chitragupt, so how many sinful reactions were mitigated when the Jagai and Madai made Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got their mercy? And the Chitragupt said that the whole file has been completely deleted. The whole hard disk is clean now. There is no more sinful activities. And Yamaraj, hearing this, he was, what do you call it, fainting. He fell down. And then Narad, Brahma, Shiv came to see what is happening, why he is fainting. Then the Chitragupt told what has happened. And those Mahajans could understand that because of love, he understood that how magnanimous Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, that such sinful people got purified just by their association. And then it is said that Shiva also started dancing in ecstasy, and his clothes were disheveled and his jatas were moving to and fro. And Brahmaji was also dancing, and Narad Muni was so ecstasy that he lost his veena. And in this way, there was transformation. And to show how they were purified, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showcased to devotees also how his body's color was changed. Or before it was mortal gold, but because of nullifying the sinful activities of Jagai and Madai, the body became blackish. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Advaita Acharya, how am I looking now? Because I have taken the sinful action. And then Advaita Acharya says that now you have become Shyam because of sinful activities, you have accepted of Jagai and Madai. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that now do Sankirtan, and all these sinful activities will be burned, and they would be transferred to those who would be committing offenses to the Vaishnavas. So we can understand the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that even the outcasts like Jagai and Madai, they were purified. So in Kali Yuga, most of the Lord is like that only, like Jagai and Madai. Before coming in contact with Prabhupada and ISKCON, very few pure souls are there in ISKCON who are following in the material world, who are following the Varnashram system. But this is when Bhakti Saraswati Maharaj says that the general process was that you go step by step, and if there is a 14th floor building, then you one by one climb up the floor and go to the 14th floor. But if there is an escalator, then just by escalator you go. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's process is like that. You will come to the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then you will be elevated to the platform very fast. Even if there is a gate, if we stick to the process given by Prabhupada, follow the instructions given by him, then there is no worries, although we might be coming from sinful backgrounds. But there is a danger that if we strictly follow the acharyas, then we will be safe. Very good to the party.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I got the